"Let go of my daughter right now," Brent yelled, his voice threatening, eyes as sharp as knives fixed on Maya. Brent Carter, the powerful billionaire famed throughout Glendale, had returned to his mansion without warning. He froze at the front door as his briefcase slipped from his hand, crashing onto the cold marble floor with a harsh clatter. Time seemed to stop, and the air grew thick with suffocating tension. Before him was a sight that made his chest tighten. Ella, his precious 6-year-old daughter, was huddled at the foot of the staircase, arms clasped around her head in terror. Her angelic face was flushed, her big, round eyes brimming with tears. Maya Williams, the housekeeper who had been with his family for over a year, stood beside Ella, one hand gripping the girl's arm, the other clutching a white towel stained bright red with blood. Rage surged through Brent like a tidal wave. He strode forward, his voice icy. "I told you. Let go of Ella right now." Maya gasped, her face draining of color as her trembling fingers slipped from Ella's arm. The little girl burst into tears and ran into Brent's arms, clinging to him like he was her only safe haven. Brent knelt, his heart breaking at the sight of the bruise blossoming on Ella's forehead. He placed a gentle yet tense hand on her shoulder, then slowly raised his head to face Maya, voice quivering with anger. "What happened? What did you do to my daughter?" Maya shook her head, panic in her wide eyes as she tried to explain. "Brent, please listen. Ella slipped in the bathroom. I was only trying to help her. I never meant to hurt her." Brent's glare hardened as he stared at the bloodied towel. His words were sharp and unyielding. "You expect me to believe that? This wasn't just an accident." Ella buried her face in her father's chest, her soft sobs echoing in the hush, wrenching his heart even further. Brent took a deep breath, fighting to control his fury, then lifted Ella's chin gently, voice tender but firm. "Ella, tell Daddy exactly what happened." Ella hesitated, glancing at Maya with fear, then whispered through her tears. It was Maya who hit me. She was angry because I broke the vase. She hit me with the towel." Maya's mouth fell open in shock and disbelief. Her voice trembled as she protested. "Ella, that's not true. Why would you say that?" Without a moment's hesitation, Brent cut her off, his tone cold and authoritative. "Enough. I don't want to hear another word. You're out of here, Maya, and don't ever come back." Maya recoiled as if struck. Pain and devastation etched across her face. Under Brent's icy stare, any protest died on her lips. Tears in her eyes, she turned and walked away, leaving behind the shattered remains of trust and dignity. The door slammed shut, swallowing the mansion in an eerie silence. Brent held his daughter close, his mind a whirlwind of doubt, anger, and deep unease. What he didn't know was that this tragic misunderstanding was only the beginning of a storm, poised to tear apart everything he once held dear. Inside the mansion, Brent gently carried Ella down to the garage. His heart pounded with equal parts pain and fury, torn between protecting his daughter and his rage over the betrayal he was sure Maya had committed. He dared not imagine his fragile little girl being harmed by the woman he had once trusted completely. "Daddy, I'm sorry," Ella whispered from Brent's embrace. Her face was pale, and her big, round eyes were still red from crying. Brent bent down and placed a soft kiss on Ella's forehead, trying to calm her. "It's not your fault, Ella. Don't be afraid. Daddy will never let anyone hurt you again." The drive to St. Agnes Memorial Hospital passed in heavy silence, broken only by the gentle patter of rain on the windshield. Brent glanced over at Ella in the passenger seat, her head resting against the seat, her tired eyes half closed. Guilt stabbed at him for being so absorbed in work that he'd missed the small signs of her suffering. At the hospital, Dr. Joanna Bennett, a respected pediatric specialist, examined Ella with meticulous care. Brent stood nearby, fists clenched, each passing minute stretching into an eternity. He studied Doctor Bennett's face for any hint of concern. Every frown, every pause made his heart race. Finally, Dr. Bennett looked up, her expression grave. "Mr. Carter, I need to speak with you in private." Brent followed her into the hallway, closing the exam room door softly behind him. His chest tightened at the seriousness in her eyes. "What's wrong, Doctor?" Brent asked, his voice tense. Dr. Bennett took a deep breath before saying, "Mr. Carter, I found not only Ella's new injury but also older bruises. Some appeared to be days or even a week old." "What?" Brent felt a cold shock run through him, as if the blood in his veins had frozen. Dr. Bennett continued steadily, "I can't say for certain, but these patterns are often consistent with abuse or rough handling by an adult. We're required to report this to Child Protective Services. Do you understand?" Brent stood in stunned silence, anger and heartbreak merging into a painful swirl. Images of Maya, the woman he'd believed was Ella's guardian angel, flashed through his mind, now clouded by unforgivable doubt. "I understand," Brent said curtly, his eyes blazing. "I'll call the police right away." When Brent and Ella left the hospital, Maya still stood trembling in the driveway of the mansion, her mind reeling from everything that had happened. Determined, she resolved to explain herself one last time. As Brent stepped out of the car and saw Maya approaching, he raised a hand to stop her. "Don't move another step, Maya. I trusted you too much." He spat, his voice thick with disgust and rage. "Ella's wounds aren't just from today. The doctor found older bruises. What do you have to say for yourself?" Maya froze, her face ashen. "Mr. Carter, please believe me. I never hurt Ella. I swear." "Your swearing means nothing," Brent snapped, teeth clenched. "I've already called the police. You'll explain everything to them." At the word police, Maya's heart lurched. She gasped for air as fear swallowed her whole. The thought of going to jail for something she didn't do made her head spin. Tears streamed down her face as she turned and ran toward the street, the rain-soaked towel still clutched in her hand as damning evidence. Brent watched Maya's retreating figure without remorse or sympathy. His heart now held only the fierce pain of betrayal and the absolute need to protect Ella. Nothing mattered more than keeping his daughter safe, even if it meant enduring the harshest consequences. Farther down the street, hidden in the shadows of a parked car, an older woman watched every moment with a cold, triumphant smile. Linda Hartman raised her phone and spoke softly but conspiratorially into it. Everything went even more smoothly than planned. "Brent believes Maya is guilty, and the police are on their way. We have the perfect setup to destroy both of their reputations." She hung up, satisfaction gleaming in her eyes as she stared back at the Carter mansion, where Brent knelt beside Ella. Linda knew that, with her power, she could easily turn Maya and Brent into pawns in the cunning game she had orchestrated. Outside, the nighttime rain fell harder, as if nature itself mourned the injustice and hidden wounds that had just been exposed. But for Linda Hartman, this battle was only beginning. The rain continued its steady fall outside, tapping against the window pane like an endless, mournful melody. Brent sat silently beside Ella's bed, his gaze watchful, following even the smallest movement of his daughter. The spacious room felt colder and heavier than ever, and the ticking of the wall clock counted out each passing second of their shared anguish. He had decided to keep Ella home from school for a few days, hoping the break would help steady her spirit after the recent trauma. But what worried Brent most now was Ella's state of mind. This once innocent child, whom he had always known to be bright and cheerful, now sank into an unusual silence, her eyes avoiding his whenever he tried to draw close. "Ella, would you like some warm milk?" Brent asked softly, doing his best to sound casual. She shook her head without looking up, her tiny fingers fidgeting at the corner of her favorite pink blanket. The tension etched on her young face made his heart ache even more. He tried again, voice gentle and filled with love. "What are you thinking about, Ella? Is there anything you want to tell me?" His question seemed to strike a deep chord within her. Suddenly, Ella broke down, her sobs racking her small frame, as tears streamed down her rosy cheeks, leaving Brent both confused and heartbroken. He immediately sat beside her, wrapping his arms around her trembling body. "Ella, tell Daddy what's on your mind. Stop crying. Daddy's right here with you. Nobody can hurt you anymore, sweetheart." But his reassurance only made her sob harder. The cries choked with despair as if they must escape her small chest no matter what. Clutching his shirt, she broke into stuttering words between her tears. "Daddy, I'm sorry." Brent frowned, his own confusion mirrored in his expression. He patted her back soothingly, striving to remain calm despite the invisible dread rising within him. "Why are you apologizing, Ella? You didn't do anything wrong." She looked up at him, tear-filled eyes shining with guilt, her voice dropping to a whisper as she revealed a horrible secret. "Daddy, actually, Maya didn't hit me. I lied to you. I'm sorry." The room fell into a terrifying silence, everything freezing for a moment. Brent felt his heart stop as Ella's words echoed in his mind, repeating like an unending nightmare. He leaned in, looking straight into her innocent, tortured eyes. "Ella, please explain. What really happened?" Ella tembló, todavía asustada de la reacción de su padre. Yet she knew she could no longer carry this secret. She inhaled deeply, gathering the courage to confess the whole truth. "I accidentally broke the vase Mom left behind. I was scared you'd be angry and wouldn't love me anymore, so I ran into the bathroom and slipped. Maya saw I was hurt and came to help, but when you came home I was so terrified I lied and said, 'Maya hit me. I'm sorry, Daddy. I don't want Maya to get fired. She did nothing wrong.'" Each word from Ella cut into Brent like a sharp blade, creating wounds deeper than any physical blow. He felt the world crumble beneath him in that instant, as his own accusations rang back at him, mocking the blindness and haste of his anger. "Oh my God," Brent whispered, closing his eyes tightly as guilt and regret surged through every fiber of his being. "Ella, why didn't you tell me sooner?" Ella lowered her head, tears still falling. "I was scared. I was scared you wouldn't love me anymore." Brent's heart clenched painfully as if strangled by the most honest words from the daughter he cherished above all else. He held her tight, whispering reassurances through his own despair and endless remorse. "Nothing could ever change that, Ella. I will always love you, no matter what. I'm sorry I frightened you enough for you to lie. This isn't your fault, it's mine." He lifted his eyes to the window, watching the rain fall harder, as though trying to wash away the mistakes he had made. Brent suddenly recalled Maya's anguished face as she'd fled the mansion, the injustice in her eyes, her desperate, trembling voice begging to explain. Now, everything was crystal clear. He had made a terrible mistake, betraying the trust of the woman who had cared for and loved his daughter as if she were her own. In his mind's eye, Maya's rain-soaked silhouette ran from the mansion like a wronged spirit. Brent realized how cruel and harsh he had been to cast an innocent person into such tragic circumstances. Lowering his head, tears of pain slid down his usually stern face. Tonight, for the first time in many years, Brent Carter recognized that sometimes a person's greatest enemy is their own prejudice and impatience. And now, Brent knew he had to make amends for this grave error, no matter the cost. But was it too late? Where was Maya in that cold, pouring rain? Would she ever forgive him and return? Or was all that remained only the echo of his remorse? The steady patter of rain outside continued like a relentless reminder of his recent mistake. Brent sat in silence in the vast room, Ella's anguished confession still echoing in his mind. His heart ached unbearably as Maya's desperate, sorrowful face replayed over and over, trapping him in an endless nightmare. He picked up his phone again, fingers trembling as he dialed Maya's number. But all he heard was an automated voice telling him the number was out of service. Brent exhaled wearily, waves of regret and despair washing over him. He stood and looked around the now cavernous, empty house, once filled with Ella's laughter and Maya's lively footsteps, now ruled by an eerie, chilling silence. Suddenly, he remembered Maya's personnel file from when she first applied to work for him. Without hesitation, he rushed to his study and rummaged through every drawer for her home address. At last, the worn file lay quietly at the bottom of a drawer, a stark reminder of the selfish, uncaring attitude he'd allowed to flourish inside him for far too long. Brent raced to his car and sped toward Maya's neighborhood, his heart pounding the entire way. He knew there was no time to think. All he wanted was to find Maya, look into her eyes, and offer a sincere apology, begging her forgiveness for his terrible mistake. Maya's small apartment was on the second floor of a rundown complex in East Glendale. Brent stood at her door, anxiety twisting in his chest. He took a deep breath and pressed the doorbell. Footsteps sounded slowly inside, and the door creaked open. Maya appeared, her face drawn and her eyes red from crying, pain etched into her delicate features. Yet her voice was icy when she saw him. "What are you doing here, Mr. Carter? Didn't you say you never wanted to see me again?" Brent stepped forward, voice barely above a whisper as he fought to keep it steady. "Maya, I was wrong. I came here to apologize. Please, let me explain. It was all a terrible misunderstanding." "A misunderstanding?" Maya cut in bitterly, her eyes filled with hurt and disappointment. "You accused me, insulted me, thinking I abused Ella. You once said you trusted me, but the moment a child spoke, you rushed to judge me. I thought you were different, yet in the end, you only saw my skin color and my place in life." Maya's words hit Brent like knives to the heart. He froze, his face drained of color. Never had he felt so small and reprehensible. He realized then that the invisible prejudice he'd never admitted still lived within him. He hung his head, voice trembling with remorse. "You're right, Maya. I was gravely wrong. I let my prejudice and panic blind me. I gave you no chance to explain, and I regret it more than anything." Ella confessed. She lied because she was terrified of how I'd react. "Please forgive me." Maya was silent for a long moment, tears streaming down her cheeks, yet her expression remained firm. "I can't forgive you right now. Your words and actions stripped me of my dignity. You made me feel like I was nothing to you except a lowly black servant unworthy of your trust." Brent looked up, his eyes filled with sincere regret. "I'm so sorry, Maya. Truly I am. I never realized I harbored such prejudices until this happened. You've opened my eyes to a shameful truth about myself." Maya shook her head, voice shaking but resolute. "I accept your apology, but I can't go back there. Not because I hate you or Ella, but because I need time to heal. I can't stay around someone who so easily looked down on me and accused me." "Please don't do this," Brent pleaded desperately. "Ella wants to see you. She feels terrible for what happened." Maya sighed, anguish in her breath. "I love Ella more than anything, but I can't return now. She's young. She'll understand in time. But you need to face the consequences of hurting someone with baseless suspicion. You need to learn to see others without prejudice clouding your vision." The door closed slowly, leaving Brent alone in the dim hallway, filled with regret and loss. He knew Maya was right. This was the harshest lesson he'd ever learned. On the drive home, Brent's heart felt like lead. He realized that the wounds he'd inflicted could not be easily healed. Maya's dignity and her trust in him were shattered. Now, Brent Carter faced the greatest challenge of his life, erasing the prejudice within himself, teaching Ella the value of honesty, and above all, regaining the trust of the woman who once cared for and loved his daughter so fiercely. He didn't know if Maya would ever forgive him, but from this day forward, he vowed never to stop striving to atone for his mistakes. The ride home felt anything but short for Brent. Every minute stretched on endlessly. Maya's hurtful words kept echoing in his mind, driving home that forgiveness couldn't be won with a few remorseful sentences. The memory of her tear-filled, wounded eyes ignited in him a fierce determination. He had to make amends for his own terrible mistake. That evening, Brent sat alone in his study, the dim glow of his computer screen casting tense shadows on his face. After a moment's hesitation, he inhaled deeply and began typing a long social media post. Every word was chosen with painstaking care and raw honesty, each line a heartfelt confession. "I, Brent Carter, publicly offer my sincerest apology to Maya Williams. These past days have been the worst of my life, as I've realized I committed a grave error, hurting an innocent person because of my own rashness and blind prejudice. Maya, I was wrong to doubt you and to rush to condemn you without giving you any chance to explain. I acknowledge that my actions not only damaged your honor and self-respect, but also inflicted deeper wounds on my daughter Ella's innocent heart. Here and now, I pledge to work tirelessly to change myself, to uproot prejudice from my mind. Maya, I hope that one day you can find it in your heart to forgive me." Within minutes of posting, responses flooded in, some praising his courage, others lashing out, calling him weak and a betrayer of the Carter family legacy. Among the harshest comments, one name stood out: Linda Hartman. Linda, the matriarch of the Hartman clan, prided herself on strict tradition and flawless family reputation. To her, it was unthinkable that Brent Carter, a man of his stature, would publicly apologize to a poor black woman. The next morning, Brent awoke to discover countless scathing posts spreading like wildfire, all aimed at him and Maya. Rumors had been meticulously planted, accusing Maya of manipulating Ella to climb the social ladder and branding Brent as naively led by misplaced pity. It didn't take long for Brent to trace the fallout back to Linda. He knew she'd stop at nothing to defend the family's perfect image. For Linda, Maya's very existence and Brent's public apology were a stain that had to be erased immediately. Linda went further, using her influence and connections to ramp up pressure on Brent. Old friends and longtime business partners began calling, urging him to distance himself from Maya to protect his family's name and his career. But what pained and terrified Brent most were the threats and harassment now targeting Maya directly. Anonymous letters filled with racist slurs arrived at her door. Midnight phone calls carried curses and vile insults, haunting her every waking moment. One afternoon, As Maya walked home from the community center where she worked, a masked man lunged at her on a deserted street. His voice was dripping with menace. Each word felt like a dagger. "You think you deserve to walk in the world of someone like Brent Carter? Get out, or you'll pay the price." Maya's heart pounded with fear as she stumbled backward. Though the man vanished into the shadows, his threats lingered in her ears, making her realize that her peaceful life was slipping into hell. A few days later, Maya returned home to find her door spray-painted in red with hateful graffiti. "Get out, filthy nigger!" The sight was a gut punch. She collapsed to her knees, tears streaming uncontrollably as she grasped the full weight of the invisible hatred choking her life. When Brent learned of Maya's ordeal, he raced to her apartment. But when he arrived, she stood before him with cold, wounded eyes. "Mr. Carter, please, leave me alone. Everything you've done has only made my life worse. Don't you understand? Every time you try to fix your mistake, you hurt me more." "Maya, I'm so sorry. I won't let this continue," Brent pleaded. Maya shook her head firmly, pain and resolve in her voice. "It's too late, Brent. I can't live in fear like this anymore. Please, just let me be." Brent stood speechless, overwhelmed by helplessness and despair. For the first time in his life, he felt how his past mistakes had become sharp, cutting blows against the woman he cared for most, and Maya was the one bearing the brunt of his failings. The rain began anew outside, turning the city into a cold, misty blur, as if warning that the battle between light and darkness had only just begun. And no matter how determined or strong he might be, Brent knew he would pay a steep price if he wanted to protect the woman his heart was irrevocably drawn to. The days after that attack passed in a gloomy haze, and Brent felt caught between two crashing waves. He had no choice but to face the storm of public opinion head-on. Hour by hour, minute by minute, he felt the loneliness and helplessness grow as the anonymous threats against Maya intensified. That's when Brent decided he could no longer stay silent. He had to take decisive action to protect the woman he'd wronged. One overcast afternoon, Brent went to Maya's small apartment. His heart pounded when he saw the red paint still splashed on her door, a mark of hatred. When the door opened, Maya's tired eyes flicked warily up at him. "May I come in for a moment, Maya?" Brent asked gently, every word measured. Maya was silent for a beat, then nodded and stepped aside. Brent entered the familiar dimly lit room, tension hanging in the air. Maya stood a careful distance away, watching his every movement. "I can't waste any more time, Maya," Brent began, his voice full of resolve. "I want you to come back to the mansion. At least until things calm down. I know it's hard, but it's the only way I can keep you safe." Maya shook her head, skepticism in her eyes. "Go back there, for what, Brent? So I can get hurt all over again. I've been through enough." Brent met her gaze, his tone firm and sincere. "It will be different this time. I promise I will stand up for you in front of everyone. I want the world to know I was wrong, that my prejudice caused you unimaginable pain. I won't let you endure any more of this horror." Maya studied him, searching his eyes for any hint of deceit, but all she saw was genuine remorse, the first she'd ever known from him. After a moment, she exhaled slowly. "All right, Brent, I'll agree to come back, but I hope this isn't another mistake." The next day, Brent Carter's mansion became a media spectacle. Flashbulbs popped continuously. Cameras focused on a small stage set up in the sprawling garden. Brent stood next to Maya, shoulder to shoulder, though Maya still kept a respectful distance, her caution clearly visible. Brent took a deep breath, stepped up to the microphone, and spoke with clarity. I know you're all here to hear the truth. In recent days, I made a grave mistake that caused Maya Williams to suffer unjustly. I let my prejudice and haste wound her deeply, and I deeply regret the pain I caused her and my daughter Ella." He paused, turning to Maya with earnest eyes. "Today, I stand here publicly to protect Maya. I will not allow anyone, any prejudice or slander, to harm her again." The press erupted into murmurs, reporters firing sharp questions. Before Brent could answer, a cold voice cut through the crowd. "How disappointing, Brent Carter. You really let this lowly woman manipulate the Carter family's honor?" All eyes turned to Linda Hartman, who strode out of the crowd with a haughty, challenging stare. The tension spiked instantly. "Linda," Brent said sternly, "please stop. Don't hurt anyone else." Linda stepped forward, her tone icy and loud enough for all to hear. "Hurt? You're the one destroying your family's reputation. You stand here next to a poor black woman, someone of such lowly birth, and tarnish the Carter name." Maya trembled, her face paling at the vicious insult. Brent immediately moved in front of her, voice fierce with anger. "That's enough, Linda. Maya is a woman worthy of respect. It's people like you who fill this world with hatred and division." Linda sneered, fixing Maya with a contemptuous gaze. "And who do you think you are, Maya Williams? A mere servant daring to stand beside the powerful. You're exploiting Brent's pity to waltz into a world you'll never belong to." Each taunt cut into Maya like a knife. But this time, she squared her shoulders and met Linda's stare with quiet strength. "I'm not using anyone. I'm here to defend my own dignity and self-respect. It's people like you who wield cruelty to destroy others." Linda curled her lip in scorn, eyes blazing with hostility. "You really think society will side with you? You're dreaming, little girl." Brent squeezed Maya's hand, his voice ringing out across the stage. "Linda, society will change. I will start by refusing to tolerate racism and toxic prejudice like yours." The crowd fell silent, cameras capturing this moment of raw intensity. Linda stood statue still, fury flickering in her eyes, facing Brent's unwavering commitment and Maya's unexpected courage. In that charged climax, Brent and Maya truly stood united for the first time, confronting the darkness of hatred Linda had unleashed. Their battle was just beginning, but both understood they could not back down now. They would need every ounce of strength and bravery for the challenges ahead. When the tense showdown before the press ended, Brent and Maya both knew there was no turning back. But before they could catch their breath, another challenge struck. Linda Hartman decided to sue them, accusing Maya and Brent of defamation and intentional harm to her reputation and dignity. This decision was a crushing blow, placing even more unbearable pressure on Maya's and Brent's already burdened shoulders. The trial quickly became a citywide spectacle. Media outlets covered every detail live. At the first hearing, the courtroom was packed. Everyone wanted to witness the fierce battle between entrenched power and prejudice on one side, and truth and courage on the other. Linda sat in the plaintiff's row, her face cold with confidence, her sharp gaze fixed on Maya as if daring her to vanish under its weight. Brent and Maya sat together in the defendant's seats, striving to remain calm despite the immense psychological strain they were under. The judge called Maya Williams to the witness stand. Her heart pounded, but her steps were steady as she rose and walked forward. The courtroom fell silent, every eye trained on her. Linda's attorney approached the podium, his voice icy with mockery. "Ms. Williams, are you fully aware of the consequences of you and Mr. Carter publicly defaming Ms. Hartman?" Do you realize that your statements have seriously damaged her reputation?" Maya drew in a deep breath and spoke clearly and more forcefully than ever. "I never intended to defame anyone. What I said was simply the truth of what I have endured all my life." The lawyer let out a cold, amused chuckle and scanned the room. "The truth? Could you please explain in detail what you mean by truth?" Maya locked eyes with him, unflinching. "The truth is that I was born and raised in a society where, because of the color of my skin, I have been insulted and demeaned countless times. Since childhood, I have grown accustomed to contemptuous looks, scornful remarks, and doors slammed in my face simply because I am black. It is that discrimination that has forced me to live in fear, constantly questioning my worthiness of respect." Her voice trembled slightly, but her sincerity silenced the courtroom. She continued, her tone growing stronger. "The recent events with Brent and Ella made it painfully clear that people like Miss Hartman still exist, people who wield power and prejudice to belittle and harm others. I did not defame Miss Hartman. I spoke the truth of my experience." The attorney sprang back, attempting to corner her. "You accused Miss Hartman of racism without concrete evidence. That is slander. You exploited Mr. Carter's pity for your own personal gain, didn't you?" Maya shook her head, her voice firm and unwavering. "I did not exploit anyone. Brent was wrong to doubt me at first, but he found the courage to admit his mistake and make amends. We stand here because we want to defend our honor and speak the truth. Truths that Miss Hartman is intent on hiding." The courtroom buzzed with murmurs until Brent Carter stood and requested permission to speak. The judge nodded. Brent rose, his eyes unwavering on Linda Hartman before sweeping across the courtroom. "I understand the controversy and the doubts about why I've come to defend Maya so fiercely. But today, I want to make it clear that Maya did nothing wrong. The real mistake was mine, for believing in my own prejudices and acting on impulse." He turned back to Linda, his voice resolute. "Ms. Hartman, you're suing us because you claim we harmed your reputation. Yet you are the one destroying your own good name with hateful words and outdated biases. I admit that I was once influenced by those same flawed views, but today I've woken up to the truth. I cannot stay silent in the face of injustice." Linda's face went pale, her voice trembling with anger as she cut him off. "You're just trying to cover your mistakes by attacking me, Brent. I won't stand for you casting me as the villain to protect someone like her." Brent shook his head calmly, his tone even firmer. "I'm not casting anyone as a villain. I'm speaking the truth. It may upset you, but no one has the right to deny or conceal it. Society needs to change, and it's people like you who make that change so desperately needed." The courtroom fell into absolute silence as Brent's words rang out like a clarion call. Maya sat with tears quietly streaming down her face. Never before had she felt such genuine protection and respect. Before the trial, Brent had squeezed Maya's hand, his gaze full of determination. "We'll get through this together, Maya. No one can make us stay silent anymore." Outside the courtroom, the media continued its frenzy of coverage and debate. But after that day, Brent's and Maya's story transcended a mere lawsuit. It became a symbol of the fight against prejudice and racism, a fight they were both ready to wage to the very end. In the days after that harrowing attack, Brent and Maya thought they might finally find some relief, having spoken the truth in public. But reality proved far more ruthless and brutal. Their legal battle had spilled out beyond the courtroom, spreading everywhere with underhanded tactics and dark conspiracies. Linda Hartman, never one to accept defeat, decided on a ruthless counterstrike. Leveraging her power, wealth, and vast connections, She quietly bribed witnesses and twisted harmless testimony into fabricated evidence, hoping to convince the court that Maya was a schemer, exploiting Ella to climb the social ladder and manipulate the Carter family. One afternoon, Brent received a call from an unknown number. A menacing voice crackled through the line. "Be careful, Carter. You're up against forces you can't defeat. If you don't want your loved ones in danger, you'd best abandon this fight." Chills ran down Brent's spine, but he refused to let fear take hold. He knew that to protect Maya and Ella, he had to uncover the truth behind these forged documents. Despite the danger, he resolved to investigate Linda's evidence in secret. Late one night, Brent slipped into the law office representing Linda. His heart pounded as he quietly rifled through file cabinets in the pitch-black room. Suddenly, he found a locked drawer concealing a secret dossier. Summoning every bit of daring left in him, he picked the lock and discovered photos, contracts, and records of large sums wired into witnesses' accounts. Stunned, Brent realized Linda had engineered an elaborate scheme to destroy Maya's life. As Brent snapped photos of this evidence, the office door swung open. Two burly, hostile-looking men stormed in. One growled, "Who's there?" Brent ducked behind a heavy desk, heart hammering. The men quickly spotted the ransacked cabinets and began searching. Knowing he had only seconds, Brent decided not to confront them. He fled the building with the stolen evidence. Safe outside, he called Maya immediately. "Maya, you have to be extremely careful. Linda is more dangerous than we thought. She's bribing witnesses and fabricating evidence. We must stay alert." Maya bit her lip, a cold shiver running through her. "Brent, I'm so scared. Lately I've felt like someone's watching me." Brent tried to reassure her. "Lock all your doors at home. I'm on my way." But before he could arrive, Maya sensed the danger closing in. Outside her small apartment, unfamiliar footsteps pounded, followed by a frantic banging on her door. She backed away in terror and tried calling Brent again, but the line went dead. The door burst open. A masked man loomed inside, his eyes cold as he snarled, "Didn't you hear the warning? Mrs. Hartman wants you gone from Brent Carter's life, now. Don't blame us for being ruthless." Before Maya could react, he tackled her to the floor. She struggled and screamed, but his powerful hand clamped over her throat, choking off her cry for help. At that moment, Brent arrived, bursting through the door just as the attacker's grip was about to drive Maya unconscious. Without hesitation, Brent lunged, wrestling fiercely with the masked intruder. The room echoed with the crash of furniture as the two men fought. At last, Brent subdued him, and the attacker bolted from the apartment, leaving behind a chilling parting shot. "This is only your first warning, Carter." Brent hurried to Maya's side, cradling her as she collapsed. "Are you okay, Maya?" "I'm so sorry I was late." Trembling, Maya clung to him, tears streaming down her face. "I'm terrified, Brent. I don't know if we can get through this." Brent squeezed her hand, eyes blazing with determination. "We will not let them win. I will protect you at all costs. The more they attack, the stronger we must stand. The truth will prevail, Maya. I promise you, no matter what it costs, we will fight this to the end." Maya wiped her tears, drawing strength from his resolve. "I trust you, Brent. I won't let fear control my life any longer. We will stand together." Outside, the sky was pitch black, and the rain began to fall in torrents, an omen of the even fiercer trials that lay ahead. Brent and Maya, hand in hand amid life's storm, were now ready to face the perilous battle looming in the darkness. Truth and justice would not come easily, but they understood this fight was no longer just theirs. It was for everyone weighed down by prejudice. a struggle to reclaim dignity and trust in a world losing faith in goodness. After that ruthless attack, Maya's confidence and courage seemed to have been thoroughly shaken. The bruises on her neck and arms gradually faded, but the trauma and fear lingered in her mind each night. In her weakest moments, Maya began to doubt whether she could endure this brutal fight any longer. She wondered if everything she was going through was truly worth it. One evening, when Brent entered the living room, he found Maya curled up on the sofa, her eyes distant and vacant. Brent quietly sat down beside her and gently took her cold hand. "Maya, please don't keep these thoughts to yourself," Brent said, his voice full of care. "Talk to me. We're facing so much, but I want you to know you're never alone." Maya lifted her sad eyes to his, her voice trembling as if on the verge of breaking. "Brent, I don't know how much more I can take. I'm so exhausted. Every day feels like a hopeless battle. They're too strong, too cruel. And sometimes I wonder, am I wasting my life fighting something that will never change?" Brent wrapped his arms around Maya and gently comforted her. "I know how you feel, but you're the one who showed me this world is worth fighting for. You helped me see my own mistakes, that prejudice and hatred can't triumph over honesty and love. Maya, I will never give up, and I hope you won't either." Maya rested her head against Brent's chest, trying to calm herself in his warmth. But before she could settle, the doorbell rang unexpectedly, shattering the silence. Brent looked at Maya, noticing the tension in her eyes. "I'll go get it. You stay here and rest." When Brent opened the door, he was surprised to see a tall man with silver hair standing there. It was Harrison Williams, Maya's biological father, the man who had abandoned her as a child. His unexpected appearance left Brent unsure of how to react. "I'm Harrison Williams," the man said in a firm tone, though remorse shone in his eyes. "I've come to see my daughter. I know my being here may complicate things, but please give me a chance." At that moment, Maya stepped forward from behind Brent, her face paling as she recognized her father. She asked coldly, "Why are you here?" Harrison looked at her with heartfelt pleading, his voice trembling with emotion. "Maya, I know you hate me. I know you've endured so much because I wasn't there when you needed me most. But now I'm here. Please let me make up for my past mistakes." Hearing his words, a surge of pain, resentment, and long-held anger burst from Maya's heart. She choked back a sob, tears streaming down her face. "Make up for it, Harrison. You abandoned me during the years I needed you most. Every time I faced scornful looks, every time I was treated cruelly because of my skin, I wondered, where was my father? Why didn't you ever show up to protect me, to tell me I didn't deserve that? You can't know what it's like to grow up missing a father's love." Harrison froze at her painful reproach, but he remained composed. "I know I was wrong in so many ways. I don't expect your forgiveness right away, but I want you to know I truly want to change." Maya shook her head, her voice breaking with tears, each word cutting deep. "What do you want to change, Harrison? The past can't be undone. The wounds you inflicted on me can't be erased with a belated apology. Do you know how I fought to survive? Do you know how often I felt hopeless, hating myself because I thought I wasn't worthy of love?" Harrison bowed his head, tears glistening in his eyes as he felt his daughter's pain for the first time. "I know I don't deserve your easy forgiveness, but I want you to understand that since I left, not a day has passed without regret. I'm not here to excuse myself. I just want you to know that, whether you believe it or not, I still love you, Maya." Brent stood frozen, his heart aching, as he witnessed this raw moment of past wounds laid bare on Maya's face. Maya fought to regain her composure, wiping away the tears on her cheeks. "Harrison, I can't forgive you right now, but thank you for coming and saying that. Maybe we both need more time." Harrison nodded, regret and hope shining in his eyes. "I understand, Maya. I'll wait, no matter how long it takes." As the door closed, Maya seemed to lose all strength. She collapsed into Brent's arms, letting her silent tears soak his shoulder. "Brent, why does everything have to be so hard?" she asked, her voice choked. Brent held her close, gently stroking her back. "Because we're confronting the deepest wounds in our hearts, Maya, but I promise you, after all this storm, we will find peace." In the darkness of the past, Maya began to understand that this fight wasn't just about changing society's prejudices, but also about healing her own deepest wounds. And no matter how rocky the road ahead, she would not be alone, because Brent would always be there, ready to walk beside her. After that painful meeting with her father, Maya seemed to have reached the limits of her endurance. Yet it was Brent's heartfelt encouragement and Ella's innocent, trusting eyes that kept her from plunging into the abyss of despair. While Maya grappled with her still bleeding emotional wounds, Brent quietly embarked on another battle, the fight to reclaim justice and truth against the dark forces of Linda Hartman. Knowing that Linda would not be an easy adversary, Brent resolved to dig deeper, quietly gathering additional evidence to expose her entire conspiracy at the upcoming trial. He reached out discreetly to several witnesses whom Linda had bribed, determined to trace the source of the funds funneled into their accounts. At first, each was terrified and unwilling to cooperate for fear of Linda's power. But Brent's patience, sincerity, and unwavering resolve eventually won their trust and their testimonies. One key witness was Lucas Rivera, Linda's personal assistant, who had quietly helped orchestrate the entire scheme to destroy Maya's reputation. Lucas agreed to meet Brent in a secluded apartment one night, his eyes filled with anxiety and tension. "I'm so scared, Brent. Linda is dangerous. If she finds out I betrayed her, I don't know what she'll do to me." Brent looked Lucas squarely in the eye, his voice calm but resolute. "Lucas, this is your chance to free yourself from her manipulation. If you stay silent, Linda will keep harming innocent people. Help me end this cruelty. I promise to protect you at all costs." Moved by Brent's genuine concern and determination, Lucas finally handed over critical evidence: secret audio recordings, text messages, and emails in which Linda personally instructed him to fabricate testimony. That night, with the proof in hand, Brent allowed himself a quiet sigh of relief. He knew the final showdown would be fierce. The second trial opened under extreme tension. This time, Linda Hartman sat in the defendant's chair, her face still radiating arrogance and confidence, as if she believed herself untouchable. But from the moment Brent rose to present his evidence, the courtroom's atmosphere shifted dramatically. He strode to the podium, his gaze sharp with purpose. "Your Honor, I stand before you today to lay bare the dark conspiracy orchestrated by Linda Hartman to destroy Maya Williams, an innocent woman who has endured far too much injustice." Linda flinched, panic flickering in her eyes before she masked it with a cold composure. Brent's attorney then played the secret recordings, Linda's voice ringing out with crisp, commanding clarity. "Make it look convincing. I don't want anyone suspecting I'm behind this. Maya must be completely ruined." Gasps rippled through the courtroom, followed by murmurs of outrage and disappointment aimed at Linda. Maya sat perfectly still, her heart tightening, not from pain, but from relief that the truth was finally revealed. Next, Lucas Rivera took the stand. He began trembling, but catching Brent's encouraging glance, found his courage. "I am Linda Hartman's assistant. I confirmed that she masterminded this entire plot. She instructed me to fabricate evidence and bribe witnesses against Maya Williams. The courtroom erupted in stunned chatter. Linda sprang to her feet, shouting in fury, "You can't believe this traitor, it's all lies." But the judge's gavel struck firmly, and he ordered her to sit, voice stern and unwavering. "Mrs. Hartman, please remain calm. The court will assess all evidence impartially." Brent then presented bank statements, photographs, and documents detailing each bribe Linda paid to the false witnesses. The proof was irrefutable, and Linda's composure crumbled. After a grueling, intense session, the judge delivered the verdict. The court finds Linda Hartman guilty of fabricating evidence, bribing witnesses, harassment, and intentional defamation. The defendant will be held fully accountable under the law for her actions. Linda sank back, her face ashen, arrogance shattered for the first time. Maya sat quietly, tears streaming down her cheeks. Not in sorrow, but in liberation. Brent moved to her side, wrapping her in a gentle embrace. "The truth has prevailed, Maya. You have reclaimed your justice." Maya looked up at him, her voice warm with gratitude. "Brent, I couldn't have done this without you. You showed me that I deserve love and respect." Though Linda Hartman paid dearly, the aftermath would linger. Rumors, emotional scars, and social wounds would not vanish overnight. Maya and Brent understood that, even with their courtroom victory, the true battle to change hearts and minds still lay ahead. But in that moment, what mattered most was that they had each other, standing firm against life's storms, determined never again to let injustice and prejudice defeat them. The courtroom victory was just the beginning of a longer, more complex, and even more challenging journey. Brent knew this well. After watching Maya endure every injustice and stand firm through life's fiercest storms, he realized that for their wounds to truly heal, they needed to do more than just win a lawsuit. They needed to build something enduring, something that could shift perceptions and help people like Maya and Ella reclaim their faith and hope. One early morning, with the sun just climbing the sky and warm rays filtering through the kitchen window, Brent sat across from Maya at the small breakfast table. He gently took her hand, his eyes alight with determination. "Maya, I've been thinking a lot about everything we've been through. I believe we need to do something more practical, more meaningful than simply celebrating our courtroom win. I want us to establish a community center right here in Glendale, a place where families who have been hurt by prejudice, discrimination, and injustice can find support and healing." Maya was taken aback by Brent's idea, but her heart swelled with powerful emotion. "Brent, that's an amazing idea. But do you think we can actually do it? I'm worried people might not be ready to welcome a center like this." Brent looked deeply into her eyes, his gaze brimming with genuine faith. "I understand your concerns, but Maya, after everything we've overcome, you are living proof that miracles can happen. You've inspired so many people. Let's use our story to spark an even greater change." Moved by Brent's sincerity and resolve, Maya felt a surge of determination rise within her. She nodded, hope shining in her eyes. "I believe you. I'll do this with you." In no time, the project to build the community center won broad support. Donors, social organizations, and families who had endured similar hurts all rallied behind it. The groundbreaking ceremony became a major event for the Glendale community. Standing before the crowd, Maya recounted her difficult journey. Her voice was strong yet deeply emotional, moving many to tears. "I once believed that social prejudice and hatred could destroy my life. But in my darkest moments I realized that my greatest strength is faith. in goodness, in the power of human kindness and love. Today, standing here, I want you all to know that no matter who you are or where you come from, you deserve to be loved, respected, and to live a life free from the shadow of discrimination. Maya's words quickly spread throughout the community, turning her into a living symbol, an inspiration to everyone who had ever suffered the deep wounds of social injustice. One sunny afternoon, while Maya was inspecting the center's construction progress, she spotted an older man helping workers haul building materials. Recognizing that familiar face made her heart skip a beat. It was Harrison, her father. Maya paused, then walked toward him slowly. "Dad, what are you doing here?" she asked. Harrison stopped and wiped sweat from his brow, his eyes sincere. "I know you still have doubts and are not ready to forgive me, but I wanted to contribute in my own small way, to show you that I really do want to change. I want you to see that I'm not just offering empty words. I'm working to become a better man." Seeing Harrison's calloused hands and the sweat on his face as he persevered in the midday sun stirred something unexpected in Maya. Not anger or resentment, but compassion mixed with a twinge of sorrow. "You really want to do this?" she asked. Harrison met her gaze with deep regret. "Maya, I know nothing can erase the mistakes I made in the past, but I want to start with the small things, like helping build this place, a center that will heal wounds for many families. I hope that someday you'll give me a second chance." Maya was silent for a long moment, feeling something inside her shift. Finally, she nodded, her voice soft but heartfelt. "All right, Harrison. If you truly want to change, I won't stand in your way. But please understand that forgiveness takes more time than this." A relieved smile spread across Harrison's face, the first joy he'd felt in years of living in the shadow of his guilt. "I understand, Maya. I'll wait, no matter how long it takes." In the days that followed, Harrison worked tirelessly at the center, dedicated and unafraid of hard work, gradually earning people's trust. Maya, though still carrying her scars, could feel her own wounds beginning to heal with each passing day. Watching these positive changes, Brent felt a lightness he hadn't felt in a long time. He knew the road ahead would still be long, but they had taken a crucial first step, the step toward healing the wounds of their past. And amid the bustling activity of the rising community center, under Glendale's warm golden sunshine, Maya finally found herself able to smile with genuine peace, ready to embrace the good things returning to her life. After so many tumultuous days, life finally began to reveal its first rays of peace. Amid the bustling activity of the newly rising community center, the bond between Brent and Maya also deepened. It wasn't a sudden or rushed change, but a profound, genuine affection nurtured through every trial they had faced together. One late afternoon of the weekend, Brent and Maya stood side by side, admiring the freshly finished walls of the center. Bathed in the golden glow of the setting sun, everything around them seemed softer and more beautiful than ever. Brent gently took Maya's hand, his voice low and full of feeling. "Maya, I never imagined that through all the pain and challenges we'd find happiness. But standing here with you now, I realize that every hardship led me to this moment, where I get to love you and be with you." Maya looked deep into his eyes, her heart pounding. For so long she'd told herself not to hope for love, yet in Brent's sincerity she saw that she was fully deserving of it. "Brent, without you, I'd never have believed in something as wonderful as love again. You've changed my life in every way." He leaned down and pressed a soft kiss to her forehead, a sweet promise under the sky now turning a deep purple. "From now on," he vowed, "no matter how many more trials life sends our way, I will never let go of your hand." At the same time, Maya's relationship with Ella grew ever stronger and more loving. Ever since the truth had come out, Ella no longer carried guilt or the fear of loss. She laughed freely around Maya, and each day their bond deepened, like that between a child and her second mother. One quiet evening, as Maya read a fairy tale to Ella before bed, the little girl suddenly took Maya's hand, her innocent eyes sparkling with earnest affection. "Maya, I love you so much. You're like a second mom to me. You'll always stay with me, right?" Maya felt her heart melt, tears rolling down her cheeks unbidden. "My dearest Ella, I love you too, and I will always be by your side. Nothing will ever pull me away." Ella sonrió, se acurrucó cerca y se adormeció en un sueño pacífico. Maya brushed the soft hair from her daughter's forehead, her heart no longer empty but filled with the warmth of a real family and the love she had longed for. Yet one piece of the puzzle remained: the relationship between Maya and Harrison. After weeks of hard work at the center, Harrison had shown his sincerity and dedication. The community began to accept and respect him more, and Maya watched silently as he labored to make amends. One late evening, Maya found Harrison alone, tidying up the center after everyone else had gone home. He worked in silence, drenched in sweat but never complaining. Maya watched him for a while, then spoke softly. "Dad, you don't have to stay so late every night." Harrison startled, then wiped his brow, gratitude and concern in his eyes. "I know I can never undo the wrongs I did to you in the past, Maya," he said, voice earnest, "but I will keep trying every day, until you can trust me again." Maya took a steadying breath, her heart both light and heavy at his words. She stepped closer, her eyes holding both forgiveness and the echoes of old pain. "Harrison," she said, "I've thought a lot about everything you've said and done. I know you truly want to make up for your mistakes. And though it's hard, I've decided to forgive you so we can start anew, together." Harrison's eyes filled with tears at her words, his weathered face lighting with an emotion he hadn't felt in years. "Maya," he whispered, "that's everything I've ever hoped to hear. I promise from now on I will never hurt you again." Maya embraced the father she'd once believed she'd never see again. In that moment, all old wounds seemed to close, and a profound peace settled in her soul, filling the community center they had built side by side. Outside, Brent watched that moving scene from a distance, a satisfied smile on his face. He knew that at last Maya had truly escaped the shadows of her past and was ready to step into a brighter future with him and Ella. That night, the Glendale sky sparkled with stars, as if witnessing and blessing the miraculous healing of those once deeply wounded. For now, freed from the past's grip, they were ready to write the next chapters of their lives, happier ones, together. The broken pieces of the past had finally been set back in place, and each of their hearts was learning to beat with a quiet peace. Brent knew that after all life's storms, he couldn't afford to waste another moment. He wanted Maya to understand clearly that his love wasn't just words, it was an unbreakable, lifelong promise. On a radiant late autumn day, the brand-new community center buzzed with activity. The grand opening drew hundreds of Glendale residents, all eager to celebrate the result of so much hard work and perseverance. Maya stood at the podium, her warm voice ringing out with pride and humility. "Thank you all for believing in us and helping create this special place. This community center isn't just a building. It's a symbol of reconciliation, courage, and hope for a brighter future." Thunderous applause swept through the crowd. Maya bowed her thanks, then turned, and froze in surprise as Brent stepped onto the stage, his eyes shining with an emotion she'd never seen before. "Brent, what are you doing?" Maya whispered, equal parts worried and embarrassed. Brent smiled softly, took her hand, and spoke with confidence, strength, and sincerity. "Maya, this may not be the perfect moment, but there has never been a more fitting one. Before everyone here, I want to say that you've transformed my life. You made me face my own prejudices and mistakes and taught me what true courage and the power of forgiveness really mean." He paused, drew a deep breath, and knelt on one knee, Maya's astonished gaze sweeping across the silent community. "I want to share every joy with you, to face every challenge by your side. Maya, will you marry me?" The entire center held its breath. Maya's heart pounded and tears sprang to her eyes. Just then, Ella's voice rang out from the crowd. "Maya, say yes. I love you so much and want you to be my second mom forever." The audience erupted in cheers and applause. Maya looked at Ella, seeing hope and pure love in her daughter's eyes, then turned back to Brent, trembling with happiness. "Yes, Brent, I love you, and I want to build this family with you." As Brent slipped the ring onto her finger, the air seemed to explode in joy. Ella rushed forward to embrace them both, and the new little family hugged tightly amid Glendale's roar of approval, tears of happiness shining on so many faces who'd watched them overcome every obstacle to reach this moment. A few months later, after a simple but heartfelt wedding, Brent, Maya, and Ella began a new chapter of peaceful, joyful family life. Laughter, love, and genuine sharing became their daily rhythm. The community center blossomed, too. It became a sanctuary where anyone wounded by social prejudice could seek help, heal, and start over. Maya's inspiring story made her a powerful symbol of justice, reconciliation, and forgiveness. But she was more than just the center's leader. She was a sister, a mother, and a friend, always ready to listen and offer encouragement when someone was in pain. She used her own journey to show people that no matter what they'd endured, everyone deserved love and respect. One evening, as the sun dipped low, Maya and Brent sat on the front steps, watching Ella and Harrison play together in the yard. Their laughter rang out like a gentle melody, chasing away every lingering shadow in their hearts. Harrison had become a devoted grandfather, pouring his love into Ella as if to make up for every lost moment. He spent hours playing and teaching her, caring for her with all his heart. The bond between Maya and her father deepened, and she realized that forgiveness didn't just free him, it healed her too. Brent gently took Maya's hand, his voice soft but unwavering. "Maya, are you happy?" She turned to him, her eyes tender and full of feeling. "I've never felt more whole and complete. Thank you for never giving up on me." He squeezed her hand, his gaze drifting toward the horizon with quiet confidence. "I promise you, no matter what challenges lie ahead, we will face them together, with love, forgiveness, and courage, because we are family." That Glendale sunset glowed brighter and warmer than ever. A new future lay before them, not without its trials, but with the certainty that each obstacle could be met and overcome with the love and sincerity they had cultivated from their past wounds. They understood that justice isn't a one-time victory, but an unending journey, where every day offers a chance to love more deeply, forgive more fully, and live more bravely. Their family would forever stand as living proof of the extraordinary power of faith, hope, and love. A vast, promising future awaited them, filled with all the very best life has to offer. Their story shows that trust, forgiveness and love can conquer every prejudice, injustice, and hurt. Life will always test us, but what matters most is how we choose to face those tests. Will you dare to overcome prejudice and learn to forgive, as Maya did? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this story, please hit like, share this video, and subscribe so we can continue spreading messages of compassion and the power of forgiveness. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next story.